Hello and welcome to part 2 of my sewing room makeover. In the previous installment of this series, I worked on getting this room cleared out because I had a lot of stuff in here. Then I painted the room in this nice, calming powder baby blue as a nod to my previous sewing room. And I started getting the space organized and getting the furniture where I thought I would want it. So this week I'm wrapping up this space and I need to add trim to the windows. I need to paint the trim on the windows. I need to finish organizing all of the little knickknacks and sewing supplies that I've decided to keep in this space. And I need to put all the final touches on this space to make it cute. Now, over the last week, we have been installing trim in the house, and I'm gonna have a video all about that coming up very soon. We're replacing all the trim in this house, and that includes this room. So I did go ahead and install the trim on the windows in this room. I'm just using 1x, so I've got some 1x4s and some 1x2s to kind of build up the trim around the window and make it look a little bit more special. Great. I was really fighting with our nail gun. It gets jammed all the time. Even though I've oiled it, I've tried everything to keep it from getting jammed. It just gets jammed a lot. It's hard to get the jams out, too. This thing is not cooperating with me today. God, it's driving me crazy. All right, after today, I'm getting a different nail gun because this one's really giving me grief. There we go. All right, baby, just let me get one more piece up. Oh, we're jammed. I oiled it, in case anybody wants to know. Yes, I did oil it. I oil it every time we use it, and it usually helps to oil it, but this time it didn't seem to matter. We're jammed. All right, we got one up. We ended up getting a cordless nail gun that seems to be working really well, and I was able to install the rest of the trim on the other window with fewer headaches. Once I had all of the trim installed, I could go through and start caulking all of the seams on the window frames. This is just gonna make it look a lot neater when I paint everything, and it's gonna make it all look more cohesive. Now that I have all the windows trimmed and caulked and all the holes filled in from the nail gun, I can start painting the windows. So I've picked up the paint for the trim, and in the rest of the house we're gonna be doing white trim. In here I wanted to have a little bit of fun with the trim color, and I'm gonna be doing a tone-on-tone look for the trim with the walls. So for the walls, I think the name of the color is Scandinavian Sky, and then I went with something just a little bit darker and slightly less saturated for the trim color. We're gonna try it and see how we like it. I really like the look of the darker trim that I've been seeing in some of the inspiration pictures that I find on Pinterest for like interior design inspiration. So the color that I chose for the trim in here is a color called Blue Bayou, and it's also from Glidden. So we're gonna see how this looks. want to do in here is add some overhead lighting. So I mentioned in my last video that there is no overhead lighting in this room. The strip lights are great, but they're not going to be enough light for sewing in low light conditions. They're really more for mood and effect. So I do have some lights that I want to put up. I use these in my old sewing room. They're just some lanterns that I have, some paper lanterns. So I've got those here. And I really like these because I can put a really nice bright light bulb in these and then they kind of diffuse the light. So I have a couple of these to put up. I'm not really sure where I want to put these. I don't know if I want to put one there and one here or do this direction. Anyway, I'm going to kind of play around with that a little bit, but I have to find the light bulbs. I have like some just single light bulbs with a cord that I can plug into an outlet, and I may end up plugging them into the same outlet that's attached to the switch as well so that when I turn on the lights, I can get some light with the switch. Let me find those bulbs. Ah, there they are. Divided by 3, so we're looking at about 45 inches from two sides here. 45 and 58. All right, friends, it has been a long day. I've been working in this sewing room all day today, trying to get it ready. I'm loving it so much in here, and especially with these LED lights. Man, it's a vibe in here. It is absolutely a vibe. And obviously these are not enough light to sew with, but they're enough to set the mood in here, which I love. And I've got my ring light on my camera too. So I don't know, I thought this would be kind of fun for some like little vibey sewing chats sometimes. We'll see if I ever get around to doing something like that. But I do have a few small little finishing details that need to happen in this room before the final reveal. But I'm really tired, so I'm gonna save those for tomorrow, and I will see you then. Okay, the sewing room is done. Well, mostly done. There's a few things that I still would like to do in this space, but it's done enough that I can actually get in here and be quite productive in this space, which is what I really needed. If we can take a little walk down memory lane, we'll remember that this space was once packed with stuff. And actually before that, this space was hot pink. When we first moved into this house, this room, I'm assuming was a little girl's room. It was very, very pink. The closet was very, very red. And it wasn't really a room that inspired a lot of zen feelings. It also had some pretty nasty carpet, as did the other bedrooms in this house. So this room has really come a long way. And it feels so much more zen now. It feels like a place that I want to spend a lot of time in. And this room gets an abundance of natural light. That being said, I may actually need to get some shades for the windows because sometimes the sun really comes through this window here over my sewing station, and I have a feeling that that might be a little bit of a problem at some points. But the good thing is that both of my tables have wheels on them, so I can reposition them as needed in this room if I feel like I need to. So that's good. When I started this makeover, I had 4 main goals that I wanted to achieve in this room. Number 1, I wanted it to be minimal and clutter-free. I wouldn't necessarily say this space is minimal as far as like a minimal aesthetic, but it is very tidy and everything has a place. Probably 99% of the stuff in here is stuff that I'm going to be using on a more regular basis with my sewing practice. So I feel like I achieved that goal. The second thing was I needed to have wardrobe storage in this space, and I wanted to use this space as a closet. And I think I've definitely achieved that. I may have gotten number 2 and number 3 mixed up, but number 3, I wanted a table that I could walk all the way around. In my previous sewing space, I had a table that I could walk all the way around, and it just made it really easy for cutting all of my fabric and working on projects, piecing things together. And like I said, this space is a good bit smaller than my previous sewing room, but because my table has wheels on it, both my tables have wheels on them, I can kind of move things around as I need them, and I can pull this table out into the center of the room and walk all the way around it when I need to, and then just very conveniently push it over toward the window when I'm not cutting fabric. So I achieved goal number 3 or number 2. I got number 3 and number 2 mixed up, but you get where I'm going. And then the fourth thing that I wanted to achieve in this room was to make it cute. And I think I definitely achieved that. I feel like this room is so cute, so inviting, so fun. And I probably took a few more risks with the color choice and painting the trim a little bit darker and having some fun lighting in here than I would have taken in other spaces in the home that I probably would want to keep a little bit more adult and sophisticated. But in here, it definitely feels very creative and fun, and it's just a space that I'm really looking forward to spending more time in. You'll notice behind me I have this art piece that I created from fabric scraps. I did do a video on that, and I created that for our living room in our apartment where we had extremely high ceilings and I needed a really big piece of art to put on the wall. Well, once we moved into this house, I didn't really have a great space for such a large piece of art, and I think it works perfectly in this room because it just adds so much character to this wall. It's something I really enjoy looking at because it's a bunch of scraps of some of my favorite fabrics from some of my favorite projects, so I'm really glad I got to use that in this space. Overall, I'm extremely happy with how this room turned out, although there are a few things that I still want to do in here that I just wasn't able to get to right away. And that's okay. You know, I think there's always this pressure, especially with sharing things online, to have things really tied up in a nice, neat little bow and extra perfect. And the reality is that's not real life. So there are things that I still need to do in here. I may or may not ever get to them. I don't know, but I need to get the closet doors on the closet. The closet doors that were in this room were painted white. They are in our basement. But the paint job on those closet doors is just really awful. So I feel like I need to either strip the doors down and repaint them or sand them down or something like that because I want them to actually look nice. So I probably, maybe, I don't know, maybe I won't. But I need to paint those doors and get those back on the closet. But even if I never do that, I'm actually okay with my clothing being exposed in here. And, you know, if the doors are open, they're going to take up a little bit of space anyway, so maybe I'll just leave them off. I don't know. Another thing is I have not added base trim in here. We are replacing the trim in the house, but this room is not a huge priority for getting new trim in just yet at the baseboards. So yeah, there's that. I also would like to order some cordless, like battery operated lights to go in these lanterns up here, because I don't love having these cords running across the ceiling and down the wall. I originally had them running behind my artwork piece here, this scrap art, and then I moved them over to behind my pegboard just because I needed that outlet. I didn't have enough plugs in that outlet for all of the lights that I had plugged in to the switch outlet, so I think I would just like to get some remote lights. What else? That might be it. If you follow me over on my sewing channel, the Pattern Scout channel, you know that I have not sewn anything in a really, really long time. And I really want to get in here and sew some stuff. We've got so many projects that we're doing in the house to try to, fix up the house. Things have been moving along. We're doing things every day, nearly every day, to work on the house. So there hasn't been as much time for sewing lately, and I've loved working on the house, but I definitely miss sewing. So I'm really gonna try my darndest to get in here and make some really fun stuff very soon, and I'll be sharing those types of projects over on my other channel. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about this space right now. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I wanted to say about this space? I can hear Alan with the weed eater outside. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up, but I wanna thank you guys so much for watching this series. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't seen the first video in the series, I'll link it down in the description below this video. You can check out the entire home renovation series in the playlist that I have linked below. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.